Thank you, Mr. President. Ministers, representatives, after hearing so much analysis, the description of so much misfortune, so many calamities, and after hearing detailed descriptions of the Holocaust that afflict us as a human family, after watching so much intelligence sparkle before our eyes, we are left in silence, contemplating the void, because whilst we have knowledge, or whilst we think we have knowledge, we do not find, we cannot detect common responses to the weaknesses and pains that beset our society. There are no responses being found to the abuses, aberrations, the aggressions of global powers, to the unjust global order that from every angle seems to increasingly suffocate us. And that is happening in spite of our knowledge, our experience, and the spirit that we have as human beings, the spirit that we must nourish to better light our way forward. The tragedies of injustice, supremacist ambitions, the perverse appetites for domination, subjugation, and barbarism were those seen in the worst times that were known as periods of colonization or conquest. These phenomena seem to be worsening, keeping humankind perpetually enslaved to the basest sentiments, avarice, greed, and the imposition of models by some on others. This is all causing us to stray further and further from the principles and values of equality and rights that, with sweat and tears, humanity and intelligence thought they had won. Disaster after disaster, we continue to sow war as the savage MO of imperialism and capitalism. They too are savage, barbaric, and fierce, and we're walking towards the extinction of all human beings. We are refusing to accept that only peace can triumph. That is true because peace is justice. Peace is peaceful coexistence. Peace is respectful cooperation. It is the furtherance of freedom, dignity, and the sovereignty of all peoples. Those philosophies, those principles will guarantee that we can live a life better than ever before. But today, peace stands before us as one of the most distant illusions. We're not on a journey to peace. And incidentally, we're not acquainting ourselves with this just and lasting peace that could place us on a path towards a world of brotherhood, happiness, and solidarity. Every morning, in so many corners of our planet, we wake up to death and more death. We wake up to people being sacrificed on the bonfires of the insipid supposed superiority of some over others. We wake up before killings and massacres which should mark the consciences of warlords, magnates, and those that traffic in apocalyptic wars. These wars are imposed on some people and by some people on others, and they lay waste to beings, cultures, lands. They crucify, and they do all of this to ensure that life meets their tastes, whims, and interests. In these daily massacres, how much do we lose, particularly when it comes to the most deeply rooted human emotions that we have: love, brotherhood, and hope? These are values that human beings seem to be casting aside. These values are undoubtedly victims of the hell that they sell to us as heaven, victims of the satanic kings that dismiss the tragedies they visit upon us, and in so doing they forget the core principle of civilization, which should be power enjoyed by all for the good of all of us. Every day we lose heart, we lose our soul, not because we sell it to the devil and his satanic underlings, but rather because our generations that should have learnt so much from the millions of human beings that have sacrificed throughout history on the bonfires of vanity and ambitions, these people are the victims of deadly selfishness, lessons that they failed to learn from. We forget all of that, and instead, enemies of peace try to convert the world into the most arid of deserts, spiritually arid. And we ignore all of this, and we fail to harness our human strength. We're faced with so much aggression, barbarism, attacks, crimes. Satanic assaults are being waged on all of us. Evil seems to be trumping good. But in the face of all of that, peoples are left, those peoples that know to fight peoples of culture, spiritual experience, and dignity and national decorum. That is our great asset. That is our most invaluable heritage. That is the kingdom of God on earth. This is the beginning, the dawning of a new world, which is being born, rising from the ashes of anguish, suffering, and pain. All of these things have been imposed upon us by sick minds that do not see, do not wish to see the arrival of this other good world. They continue to try and live in the past, centuries past, for their own benefit. They try to stay living in the old and blood-soaked world. How much pain, how many battles, how many chains, how much in slavery are we going to suffer? Because on the other hand, we have our human condition that goes from strength to strength, from truth to truth. We're increasingly waking up to the truth. We show more and more courage, more and more valor, and every day, in the face of suffering, we enjoy more glory. We see more and more victories of the truth, and our human spirit is prevailing, just as it must. No one can strip us of our certainty of a new world. No one can deprive us of the reality of a brotherly world, a world of understanding, solidarity, and respectful cooperation in the present and for the well-being of all. In the old world designed by the conquistadores, those conquistadores will remain with their ambitions thwarted, sad and alone. They will be condemned and rejected by those of us that have learned to revere love, learned to root out hatred and what it imposes upon us. We've learned to bury humiliation, indignity, and we've learned to dismiss terror, the fear that they use to pressure us and intimidate us. Those as the evil of the earth. We will never yield. We will never bow to the enemies of peace or the enemies of common good. We will never be enslaved by selfishness and avarice, and we will never be blind to the atrocities committed by those who sow the mendacious narrative of their hypocritical acolytes, those that use artificial techniques and tactics, and who use technicolor film to sell us a childish world, a fictional world that pretend to be blind, deaf, and mute, paralyzed. And we will never bow to those that acquit those that are guilty of so many crimes against humanity. We will not be silent, ever. We denounce and condemn the genocide that the government of Israel and its First World allies have committed, commit, and continue to commit against the glorious people of Palestine, against the courageous people of Lebanon, and against so many other brave, valiant, dignified people. None of us will yield to brutality. We are not silent. We will never be silent. We denounce and condemn the aggressions against Syria, Iran, and against all other great peoples in their struggles. We stand with our brothers on all continents. We will never be silent. We denounce and condemn the occupation and hijacking of the rights of peoples such as Haiti. We are not silent. We will never be silent. We denounce and condemn the systematic policy of extermination of cultures and rights that colonial imperialist powers visit upon peoples, governments, and countries who, like Cuba, Venezuela, Bolivia, Nicaragua, are members of the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of our America. ALBA is a strategic unit with which we defend our sovereignty, independence, and legitimate models of institutions, our models of self-governance, and direct and participative democracy. We stand shoulder to shoulder with all countries and peoples affected by barbarism and the brutality which was unleashed and is being unleashed against our Mother Earth and our resources. That is causing what we know today as climate change. Climate change is none other than selfishness and the pillaging of our earthly resources. That pillaging has created myriad disasters which are not natural, disasters which require climate justice, disasters that have been imposed upon us by selfish slave masters, the pillagers of our world, the filibusterers. They've done all of that without regard for what we're losing, without compensation, redress, or reparation for what we've lost. We stand shoulder to shoulder in brotherliness, solidarity, in just struggles for food security, health security, education, rights, human security. These are all rights that we will never give up on. Of course, we are fighting an urgent daily struggle against terrorism in all its forms, against drug trafficking, organized crime, all vices and criminal activities that have been imposed upon us to weaken our institutions, models, and practices, and in order to increase interference into our ways of life. Those doing that are attempting to instill and establish ways of living which are not our own. They're seeking to, in so doing, create an image of us according to which we are incapable, mere beggars. We will never accept that model. There are invaders, those interventionists that are dressed in sheepskin, that have the faces of wolves, and to them we say, we are people rich in culture, resources, and community models. We are rich in values that have been distorted, slandered, or worn down. We will not allow ourselves to be converted into needy beggars, because we're not beggars, and will not allow you to pretend that we are just because you want to be falsely kind and generous. Your interests are patently clear, and you're using them to interfere in our own affairs. That's not only unacceptable, it's despicable and unbecoming. We have a right to our freedoms and the supreme dignity of our spirit and culture. We have a right to our own conscience and our own convictions. We are allowed to learn and continue on our humble pilgrimage, a pilgrimage that means that we learn from everyone. We're able to incorporate the good into how we live, to cast aside and reject everything that seeks to make us into servile machines divided by the strategies of the imperialists of the earth. We defend our highest dreams. We do so alongside Bolivar, Martí, Sandino, Morazán, and alongside so many great figures that preceded us and led the way for our struggles so that we would win, vanquish, and triumph. Nothing is free in this world. We must become more aware, and our heart must grow bigger every day. We must be absolutely lucid, clear, and coherent in our action, because it is only the union of the peoples of the planet that will be able to vanquish the Earth's imperialists. It is only this union that will make them retreat, even though they continue to criminally machinate. And they do everything they can to distort us, but we will distort them. ALBA is a triumphant alliance, and we stand shoulder to shoulder with Chavez, Nicolas, and his great people. We are one with the Cuba of Fidel, Raúl, Miguel, and their dignified and fearless resistance. We are one with Bolivia and its laudable path forward. We are one with Honduras and its challenges. We are one with Mesoamerica and the challenges it faces. We are one with Asia, with the Arab peoples, with the peoples of that black Africa, the peoples that live among us. We are one with the Russian Federation in its major struggles against the beast of fascism, battles that we will win. About this, there can be no doubt. We are one with the People's Republic of China, a country that teaches us so much, that bestows upon us their wisdom and experience in developing their people's well-being. They bring to us lessons of global solidarity for a community of the future. We stand with all the fighters and warriors of the world, and with the strength and dignity that we've always had. And today, we will not allow ourselves to be crucified for these values. On the contrary, we will rise up with pride and happiness. We will fly our flags and standards proud, because we know that humanity and the human spirit must conquer all. We will prevail. It is only by prevailing that we will spread and preserve the highest, loftiest values of the humanity that we all inhabit. Our Nicaragua is blessed, dignified, always sovereign, Christian, socialist, solidarity-based, and from that Nicaragua we embrace you all of you in this world that want peace, affection, respect, rights, and well-being. We will always stand together, and together we will go forward. We'll build upon the legacy of our victorious General Augusto Sandino, and we will do so with the poetry of our great Rubén Darío in mind. And here I quote, "A great flight of crows stains the blue sky, a thousand-year-old breath threatens plague. In the Far East men are being murdered. Has the apocalyptic Antichrist been born? Omens have been witnessed and wonders seen. The return of Christ seems imminent. The earth is pregnant with pain so deep that the dreamer, imperious, lost in thought, suffers all the anxieties of the heart of the world. Executioners of ideals afflict the earth, locking up humanity in a shadowy pit, along with the brutes of hatred and war. O Lord Jesus Christ, why do you take so long? Why wait to spread your hand of light over these wild beasts, and make your divine banners brilliant in the sun? It rises suddenly, pouring out life's essence over so many crazed, sad, or hardened souls, so in love with darkness as to forget your sweet dawn. Come, Lord, show us in all your glory. Come with trembling stars and the dread of cataclysm. Come bringing love and peace across the abyss. Let your white horse, which the visionary witnessed, come in, and let that divine extraordinary clarion sound, and may my heart be an ember of your swaying incense. Today we remember the Nicaraguan father, priest, ambassador of the dignity and decorum of our peoples, Miguel Escoto Brockman. He fought and he bequeathed upon us the responsibility to fight for the remodeling of the United Nations, so that the United Nations could serve the cause of debate and the struggle for justice, the right to harmony and happiness of the peoples. The United Nations as an instrument belonging precisely to nations themselves, an instrument to denounce, condemn, reject, and repudiate all abominations and aberrations perpetrated against all of us. It is an instrument to encourage good, affection, to root out evil, opprobrium, and hatred in our relations. Our relations, our ties, should be those of brotherly coexistence. Peoples of the world, go forward. The earth must be the paradise of all of humankind. The world will be different and better. That's what we're working for. That's why we are united, and that is what we believe in. Allow me to bring to you the affection of all of Nicaragua's people, that of President Commander Daniel Ortega and Vice President Rosario Murillo. Many thanks indeed.